Nithin Jilla, I really appreciate your time today. Um, I had the pleasure to share the stage with you a few months ago, and I was really impressed with you. In fact, I'm a big fan of Guy Kawasaki and his book Enchantment, and it seems like he might have had you in mind because you are not only an enchanting person, but you have a very enchanting cause, which we're going to talk about today. Can you dream? Tell me a little bit about how you came up with the idea, how you sort of motivated your high school to get behind the idea. And I want my audience to understand, I mean, they can look at you and see that you're pretty young, but you started this effort 4 years ago and you're just now 18. Just to put it all in perspective for all the people out there, it's never too early to start as an entrepreneur. So just give me a little bit of an overview on how your idea has evolved over time.
Okay. So to start off, Kenny Dream was a class project that we started at my high school. I got involved as a freshman in our class. We wanted to kind of leave a legacy behind at our school, do something different so that, we would be remembered. And our advisor, decided that, he had a friend who was Kenyan who told us about how there's some students in Kenya who could really use some help with education and better facilities so that they could have a better education. So we instantly kind of decided that we would call our project Kenny Dream. And we based it, we said it would be a charity and stuff. And that's how I got involved as soon as it started. I was really good friends with the class president, and we had PE together, and basically, we would talk about it, and we kind of led it, and we became the co-presidents of it. So that's how I got involved with Kenny Dream, and that's how it basically started.
Awesome. Well, I'm a big believer in doing well by doing good, and I understand that your high school said that they were going to take their effort and energy that normally would go into a prom and put it into Kenya Dream, and you ended up with instead of having a small prom or no prom, you ended up having probably the biggest prom of the year. So tell us a little bit about how you guys pulled that off.
Okay, so initially when we started Kenny Dream, we talked to our class about it, and our class signed a petition, 97% of them, that all of our funds that we normally raise for like junior and senior prom, we would donate to Kenny Dream. And then basically, so we didn't really think about having a prom, we just thought about more about giving back to the community. And when senior year arrived, we found this opportunity, something called the Dell Super Prom, which is basically a national contest held by Dell and a company called Mosaic. And they said, you make a 1-minute video about why your high school deserves, to win this competition, and first place gets a $100,000 prom. Second place gets $10,000 that goes to their school. And basically, so we entered it, we made a video, 1 minute, about why we deserve it, and our video was, based all around the idea of giving back to the community, because at our school, we not only had Kenny Dream, we also had UN Club, we had Key Club, we had, just a lot of talent, a lot of students doing community service. So we entered it, and we ended up winning the contest. And we had about, I believe, like 60 or 70,000 votes in the U.S.
Wow.
And our incentive for entering the contest was to gain like a national stage for Kenny Dream, because we figured it was like the turning point of Kenny Dream. It was on the uprise, the perfect opportunity and time, to really put it out there and kind of spread it around. So we ended up, winning the prom and having a $100,000 prom. Probably the best prom, like you said, of that year, and probably for a while. So, it's just like basically, we didn't really think about having that prom, but, we thought more about giving back, and the prom just kind of chased after us, and, we got it.
So, and you had national news coverage. You had, nationally, international stars come to the thing. I mean, it was a pretty big deal. You guys pulled off quite an event.
Yeah, I mean, we had NBC, ABC, Fox, San Jose Mercury News, just a bunch of media people come out to our school, kind of talk about Kenny Dream, interview us, and they helped us kind of publicize in the Bay Area and everything. And then at our prom itself, we had, Lil Jon, Far East Movement, who were fresh. They were going off the charts basically then. And we had Common, the rapper, just like, a bunch of performances by like acrobat people. It was honestly one of the best proms I've probably ever heard of happening.
No, you had a great prom, and you've also fulfilled your goal of giving greater attention to Kenya Dream. Yeah, a lot of people stand around and sort of complain about, hey, I can't get the press to write about me, or woe is me, and they don't understand if you come up with something enchanting and intriguing, the press will jump all over it. They're always looking for things to write about. And so you guys did just that. You came up with something interesting, worthwhile to write about. So you've also taken your idea and you've pulled another of one of your passions into it. You know, startups need donors, what I call donors. These are people that give freely of their time. Sometimes they give their money in the form of investments. But nonprofits obviously need real donors. They need donors that are giving money and their time as well. So tell me how you pulled your passion for hip-hop dance and street dance. How did you pull that passion into, again, your audience to get them more excited about Can You Dream?
Okay, so, you know, with Can You Dream, we were always going for student support and adult community support. So in NorCal, we, you know, originally we did benefit concerts with the San Jose Youth Symphony, a group of like 300 talented students, and we did concerts with them to kind of lure in the adults, you know, and try and get donors and donations from them. And that was a good success, but we kind of wanted to go bigger and faster. So we started, you know, we realized that dance was really popular among high school students and that it was like a really big thing in the community itself. Like, you know, a lot of people liked watching dance, they dance themselves, they just have an appreciation for it. So we took that and we made it into a big event that we called Can You Dance. It's like Can You Dance. And Can You Dance is basically like a charity dance showcase featuring like 15 to 30 dance crews, you know, that we bring together from the local area and some crews from MTV's America's Best Dance Crew show. And in the past, we've had season champions, Choreotics, Quest Crew, We Are Heroes, just Super Crew, just like basically all these, you know, talented performers. And we brought that into an event, you know, and that really kind of helped us bring it out more to the community and bring in more students to the events as well as adults. You know, that's how we built our network. So right now, you know, we've done 4 of these shows. And since I expanded Can You Dream recently to UC Irvine, we did our first ever Can You Dance SoCal. So now we have Can You Dance NorCal and Can You Dance SoCal, you know, twice a year. You know, we're still looking to expand, but that's just like one of the ways that we've really expanded our network and, you know, our kind of gotten support from, you know, all these community people and donors. Yeah.
Sure. No, it's impressive. What 3 skills do you think are most important for young entrepreneurs to develop? I know you've worked on a number. You have a lot of innate skills, but if you could just distill it down to 3, what would those be?
I think, you know, the big thing is always, you know, to do what you love, kind of thing. That's not really like skill, but like it's something that we should keep always in mind, you know. And with that, you know, there's always the risk that comes of, you know, like doing something. There's always that risk. Right. You know, and there's a lot of people that hesitate to take that extra step and, you know, go for the risk. But, you know, I'm always about taking the greater risk, you know, for the better of, you know, opportunity and stuff. Because the only way to, you know, get things done and the only way to get far is to take as many risks as possible. Sure. So that's something that I've learned is key. And then, you know, second thing is networking. You know, everyone talks about networking. Everyone does it. You know, they're just like, oh, I talked to my professor today. That's networking. But it's not just like networking, you know, with like just people around you, but like people who you normally can't get in touch with, you know, who you try to get in touch with. It's just like you have to set yourself apart in terms of networking. You know, you have to kind of, you know, go through one person and then through another and then get there, you know. I think that's what networking is all about, really building that, you know, map of connections, you know, and connecting everyone back to you so that you have their support and so that they have your support, you know. Right. And a lot of people, you know, when they network, you know, they go to an event, they get the business cards and everything, and then they don't talk to the person for, you know, a long time until when they need them. Right. But, you know, one thing that's important to keep in mind is that, you know, if we really want support from someone, we have to be willing to give them support and kind of show them that we care about, you know, their cause or, you know, what they're doing as well. So one thing that, you know, I've always done is, you know, followed up with emails, phone calls. You know, I've you know, taken the time to, you know, have lunch or dinner or gotten coffee with them just to get to know them better on a personal level as well. So that, you know, when we work together, we have a better understanding of, you know, what the other does and, you know, the other's strengths and everything and how to use them to the best of our ability kind of thing. Sure. And then, you know, lastly, I think, you know, one of the biggest things is kind of never giving up. I would say, you know, don't be afraid of like the risks involved. Don't be afraid of failure. You know, because like we failed a lot of times with Can You Dream, but that's, you know, that's the reason why we're here. You know, today we have 2 branches. You know, that's the reason we have 2 Can You Dances every year, because we've learned from our failures. You know, just learning from our failures and, you know, doing a better job the next time. I think that's the biggest thing is, you know, don't be let down. by failure. And when we get criticism, one of the things that I like to live by is, I don't let criticism like hurt me or anything. I let it rather develop me, shape me into like a better person. So I think that's like a good thing to keep in mind too.
Yeah, no, that's very good advice. I think on the networking front, a lot of my students struggle with that because they think that, it's something artificial. It's where they can't really be themselves. Maybe they don't understand, they understand networking, what they see on TV or something, but it's not. It's the way you described it. It's just sharing your passion with someone else, trying to find someone else that can connect with that passion, and understanding, quite importantly, as you point out, that it is a two-way street. You're not going to establish good relationships in the networking world if it's all one way. There needs to be a quid pro quo. And oftentimes, with someone in your position, the folks that are willing to help you are vicariously living through your passion and your desire to help other people. So you just have to find what is it that the other person is getting out of it. Oftentimes, it is just this psychic reward of knowing that they're helping a young person develop. Very good. Well, tell me a little bit. I know you're getting your undergraduate degree. You're only 18. You're already a sophomore. You're working outside of school. You're running Kenya Dream. What are some of the things in store for Kenya Dream in the future? And tell us a little bit about the projects that are actually being deployed in Africa with the money that you're helping to raise.
Okay, so so far with Kenya Dream, we've raised a lot of money. We've raised around 60,000, and we've gotten a Rotary match as well. And right now, we're actually using some of that money to do a 4-year plan of projects. Currently, right now, we have three projects that are deployed. One is we're building a science lab and providing all the equipment for it in one of the schools. And then at another school, we're buying books and desks and shelves for a library that's basically kind of empty. And then our last project is a big one. We're helping out an entire community, small village. In that village, we're building the school, we're renovating it. Some of the facilities we're renovating, like they don't have a roof, so we're building a roof. And then we're establishing a medical camp within the community because there is a lot of disease going around. So we're trying to teach the community members how to take care of themselves, how to take care of one another by establishing that. And we're also going to teach them farming, so that they have a good source of food, so that they can be a sustainable community and kind of depend on each other and work together really as a community. And one of the biggest problems they have is access to water is 5 to 6 miles away, and so it's very hard for them to kind of get that. So we decided that we would bring in 2 to 3 water tanks in that village for a good amount of time, and so that they'd have like a easy access to water. And while that's happening, we would find other ways to bring that water source to them through piping, whether it may be piping kind of thing. So all of our projects focus on mainly sustainability, making sure that whatever we do, the community members, they learn from it and they're able to make it better on their own in the future.
Well, how could my readers help you? I know you're always looking for financial donations, obviously. Let my readers know how they can reach out to you if this is something that's interesting to them.
So currently for Kenya Dream, we have a lot of events coming up. So it would be really great to get involved early right now, be sponsors for events. Whether it be a small startup company or a big company. And one of our events that we have coming up right now is Kenya Dance NorCal in February, and then we have Kenya Sing actually in November at UC Irvine. It's our brand new event. We've never done it, first time. And we also have Kenya Dance SoCal coming back in end of April/May in SoCal. And the best way to get involved is first of all, read a little bit more about the cause at our website www.kenyadream.us. Check out our Facebook pages, like us, support us on facebook.com/KenyaDream and then facebook.com/KenyaDance. And then if there's any questions, feel free to contact me directly. My name's Nithin. My email is nithinjilla@gmail.com. I'm always available for contact. And definitely, if there's people out there with ideas, on how to make it better, and if you want to really help us, then just reach out to us. Basically.
And you take donations right off the site, right? PayPal donations.
Yes, we do have a donation system set up on the website, and it's run through PayPal, and there is a tax ID number and everything on the website, so everything. So feel free to donate online too.
That's fantastic. Nathan's very inspirational. I know just for myself, and hopefully there's some of my students and other emerging entrepreneurs that are going to see this and watch this and understand that there's really no age limit on being able to make an impact on this world, and it's never too early to start trying to make an impact.
Yeah,
Thank you once
definitely.
again. I really, really do appreciate your time, and we'll be in touch.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Nathan. Take care.